Hello, everyone. This is Coach Aaron Saft and the Running is Life podcast. I am going to talk about a few things today, and they actually correlate. As you saw in the title, I'm talking about calling an audible. And, audible in the sense of sport is when you make a change, and it's probably a game day decision. So the day of your run. It might be the night before too. Things just may not align. But I'm going to talk about, being okay with calling an audible in your training, as that's what I'm doing today. I am recording this the day before this releases. So it is August 8th, and this will release on the 9th. It's just kind of the way things are going right now. I've just been so busy with everything. So this podcast is going to be kind of an update about things and where we're at with the Grand Slam and how things are going, how I'm feeling, challenges I'm facing, and again, being able to call an audible. So let's just kind of get into this, and I'll go into why I'm calling an audible and why you should call an audible in your training. So as I stand here and record, I'm about a week and a half after finishing Badger 100, and I'm about a week and a half from the start line of the Leadville 100. Just under 3 weeks between the events. I finished Badger early Sunday morning. I will start Leadville on early Saturday morning. So basically, just under 3 weeks of recovery. So about 20 days to recover. And this is the shortest I've ever gone between 100 milers. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I can tell, as I run right now. I started running on Sunday, so about 7 days after. Typically, a good rule of thumb is that it takes you about a day for every 10 miles raced. So, it takes about 10 days to fully recover and get heart rate back to at least your resting heart rate back to normal levels. My legs were feeling good, and Leadville was coming up. So Coach Patrick Reagan and I decided to get back to training. And I just did like 35 minutes easy. Saturday I had a group run with my athletes, but I just told them I'm hiking. I'm not ready to run yet. So I just hiked while they went for their group run. So Saturday, I knew body wasn't there. Sunday I felt good though, and got out and ran, and it was fine. I went slow. I could tell, the paces weren't quite there yet. I wasn't fully recovered, so there's some signs there that I wasn't quite there yet. I wasn't fatigued, which was great. I was just not able to get back to some of the paces that I had been averaging, before Badger 100. So that's just a sign that my body is still recovering. And I continued to run. I built up a little bit each day. So 35 minutes Sunday, 45 minutes on Monday, Tuesday, which was yesterday. I went over to the hilly neighborhood and just did some practice with power hiking on the hills and running, and I got in about 7 miles total. And it was fine. Again, paces are coming down, so each day was progressively getting better. My paces were getting faster, and they were feeling easier. I could tell still a little bit tired, not quite normal yet, which, was fine. I was okay. But I woke up this morning. Excuse me. I woke up this morning and I was just, feeling a little bit off. I can tell when the body's not quite 100%. I don't know if it's my sinuses, or I'm just tired. I've been trying to get my sleep, focusing on trying to get in between 7 and 8 hours a night, just trying to rest. I have a lot going on, super busy. Cross country practice started this week, so that was a new piece to my schedule. Which, I want to make sure I'm devoting good time and energy to the kids. So that definitely added to complications. I'm trying to make sure that all my athletes are taken care of. All their schedules are ready. The next few weeks are just going to be extremely busy. So basically, I have Leadville next week. Okay, so that's the 19th. And then I get back from Leadville. Got a week at home. And then the following week, we leave for Italy. My wife and I go to Italy. My brother's getting married in Italy, so we leave for Italy. And as soon as I return, I basically just change bags. We get back on Labor Day, and basically switch bags, and Tuesday I head out to Utah because Wasatch is that Friday. The race starts on Friday for Wasatch. So once again, I won't have, it will be under 3 weeks of recovery time. So, the importance of feeling good right now and getting recovered is vital, because I don't want to keep putting myself further and further in the hole. That's tough. Obviously, in training, we just don't want to do that to ourselves. So if you feel, that you wake up one day and things are just off, like I knew today, things were just off. I had some congestion, a little bit of headache. I just don't want to get sick, right? So, taking that into consideration and where I'm at in my training and recovery, I knew today wasn't a day to go out there and run. I just took my dog for a longer walk, and I emailed my coach and just said, hey, just taking an Audible today. My body's just not up for running today. Just not quite feeling it, which is, it's what you have to do sometimes. And it's okay, to miss a day here and there when you're just feeling off, when you're just feeling tired, that's okay. It's probably better than forcing it and making yourself more tired. That's what I try to teach my athletes, is just being okay with, taking a day and making it easier. You don't have to take an entire day off, like today I just knew, it's not vital. Today's run is not vital for my success at Leadville. Quite contrary, it could be too much and detrimental to my training. So I had to make a decision. And sometimes you need to make that decision with somebody else, perhaps, talking with your coach or a training partner and saying, hey, here's where I'm at today. Here's how I'm feeling. I probably could run, but I don't think I should do what's on my schedule. So it's a good conversation to have, right? And talk about these things and figure out, me, myself, I know my body well enough that I know when to call a day off. And today was one of those days where I'm just like, it's better if I just take the day off, get some work done. It's a busy day to begin with. I had practice this morning. Obviously, I had to record the podcast. I need to work on my athletes' schedules. I need to check in on my athletes and make sure that I go through all their notifications and training peaks. My daughter has 7th grade orientation at the middle school, which is 2 hours. I need to meet with my co-coach for cross country and go over, the upcoming weeks. I wrote out the schedule for her, so I need to go over that. So just a lot of things going on. I have an athlete call later on this evening, and then I also have a Zoom call with my team, the adult athletes that I coach. We do a Zoom call every Wednesday night, and I had to create a presentation for that. We're actually talking about Jason Koop's Research Essentials. He just came out with issue number 5, so we go over those every time they come out. So I had to make that presentation last night. So just a lot going on, jam-packed day. So I knew I'm going to have a lot of stress and fatigue to begin with. Now adding a run on top of that would probably make me feel worse. Just tired. Could I have gone for just a short jog? Probably, but did I need to? Not necessarily. Probably because of how much I've done lately, already accomplishing 2 100-milers this summer. Where I'm at, I just really need to make sure recovery is stressed and vital. Okay, so in your training, it may be that you just reduce the volume for the day. Right? If you have, for instance, like I had a 9-mile run on the schedule today. I probably could have gone out and done 4 miles and been fine. But, would I have been creating more fatigue? Maybe, just based off of my body. Again, my paces aren't quite normal just yet. I need my legs and my body under me. So I made the decision just to take the day off, and hopefully I'll be better for it tomorrow. I'll be more rested. Hopefully my body, thanks me and says, okay, let's give you a little bit more of your pace back. As I said, it's been coming back day by day, but to force things, it just makes things worse sometimes. So you really have to just, decide, is it best that I take a day off, or can I do a little bit of this? Maybe it's, you have a workout on the schedule and it is just, like I said, not the day to do the workout. And that's a good time to communicate with your coach, or, just notice that yourself, that you need to move it to a different day and say, today I will not be 100%. I probably wouldn't even be 80%. I would say if you're not feeling up to 80% of capacity, push it to another day. Make it so that you have the capacity to have a good workout, right? It will help you so much more. You'll gain so much benefit and so much more fitness if you just postpone that workout. Same thing with a long run, right? Like you may have a long run on a Saturday and it's just not in the cards. Be it that you're too busy, you just don't feel well, you're tired, postpone it a day, push it back, if it's feasible in your schedule. If it's not, then don't force the long run. Go out for a shorter period of time. Go out for what the body allows. You have to let the body be the guide sometimes, and then be okay with that. It's okay if you don't get in 100% of what's on the schedule. Sometimes it's not in our best interest to do so. So be really, cognizant of how your body's feeling. And then again, be okay with not doing what's precisely on the schedule. Your schedule, as I always say to all my athletes, your schedule is not concrete. It is not set in stone, right? It should be flexible, able to adapt and adjust based on how you're feeling and how things are going. If you notice that your paces are constantly slowing down, then that's a sign that you're overtraining or training is not going the way it should be. You need to back off, right? Like you need to reduce volume, reduce intensity, get your legs back under you, get your paces back to normal. Are there other factors that are contributing to it? Are you staying hydrated during the day? Are you rehydrating after runs? Are you eating well? Are you getting the necessary calories? Sometimes we forget when we build volume, we have to increase our caloric intake. Our caloric intake needs to meet the demands of what we're doing during the week. The volume that we're putting out has to be, provided for by energy through our body. So are you consuming enough calories to provide that energy? Remember those things. Are you sleeping enough? How is your stress levels? These are all things you have to consider. So make sure that, you're looking at the whole picture. It's not just your training, right? You're not just looking at your training. As I always say, stress is stress. You probably heard that from a million different other sources, but the life stress it compounds. It makes things harder. If you're on your feet all day, if you're working manual labor all day, that is part of your training, right? That is part of your training stress. Running is stress as well. So you have to consider all of these pieces when you're looking at your running. Okay, look at the big picture, and then look at your goal. To get to your goal, what's going to be best for you, right? On that given day, is it really vital that you do all the mileage or all the time that is set for that schedule? The answer is no. It's the better answer is to say, I'm tired today. I need to take it easy, or I need to take a day off, right? That's calling the audible. And again, it's okay. I'm going to tell you, it's okay. You're okay to take a day off or to reduce volume. In the grand scheme of things, you're going to be better off doing so. So, be okay with that. So that's calling the audible. It's tough. It's tough to get used to. Like I want to go run. It's not that I don't want to go run. It's just I know I'm going to be probably better off at Leadville because I took this day and just said, I'm going to focus on me today. I'm going to take more self-care today. I'm going to focus on my hydration. I'm going to focus on my calorie intake. I'm going to make sure I get some rest. I'm not doing too much today and overdoing it, right? So when you take these days, you have to just reassess, right? And that's what I was talking about. Look at all the components of what can help you recover and make you feel better. So with that said, I have some other challenges, that have presented themselves. So I'm going to kind of talk about those. It's not only the challenge of recovering. Like that's a huge component. Obviously, you want to be able to run your best and get through the races. Granted, I have 2 more 100 milers in the next basically 7 weeks, which is that's crazy, but that's what I signed up for. So I've got to really be mindful of everything around me. Some of the things that have kind of sprung up are logistics. Getting to these places. With Vermont getting canceled, like I had to make a whole nother trip, which wasn't in the budget, honestly. So finances, it's tricky, right? Like I don't want to spend all my family's money on these races and, put us in the poorhouse just because of, travel. Plus we're going to Italy, there's a lot going on. So I want to make sure I'm not placing too much of a financial burden on my family. And that's something, I had to talk to my wife about and make sure this was okay, that, I continued to do this. I had to be willing to pull the plug if it was going to be too much of my family. That's something I don't want. That would place more stress on me if I were to decide to say, well, let's just make it work. Obviously that's not the way it happens. So I had to be okay with just saying, okay, it's over this year. Like if that was the case, but thankfully, my wife said, nope, you're okay. We'll make it through this. You're going to be fine. We're going to be fine financially. So I had to make sure that the finances worked. And then logistics, I'm just now, like I've got everything together for Leadville. And I'm going to talk about a few pieces of Leadville, of course, but I have to also make sure that I'm ready for Wasatch. Like, I mean, that's going to be so fast after Leadville. Like, I can't believe I'm almost a week away from Leadville already. It just seems like yesterday I finished Badger. So, getting those travel arrangements ready, making sure I coordinate the flight, the rental car, the place to stay, all of that stuff. I have to make sure that that's all ready right now. I've already communicated to my crew for Leadville, which is obviously another challenge. Every race trying to come up with a new crew and pacers if need be. So, finding those people. And, I had to find a backup just in case one of my pacers was having car troubles. So I had to find a backup, crew member and potential pacer, just in case, my friend Drew can't make it. I hope to God he can. I want to have him there, but I understand completely if he can't because of car troubles. So I had to find a backup to that, which obviously creates a lot of havoc, right? So the timeline's so short, that I'm also trying to find crew for Wasatch, which is incredibly difficult. Trying to make sure that I can get people to Utah to support that race. Thank God Nathan has been on board for the whole thing. I can count on him. I've got my friend Michael Patton. He's going to be there. I just need to find one more person. So I'm looking for one more able-bodied person that can crew and pace, and then I'll have a 3-person crew, which will be great. I've got that out there right now, working on that. So finding these people, that becomes a challenge, right? Because it's so frequent. Like I don't want to overtax people or overburden them because it's a lot of travel. With all this, as I said, with the finances, I try to help my pacers and crew once they get there, but unfortunately, I have to ask them to get there on their own because I just don't have the finances to pay for plane tickets for everybody. But once they get there, like I said, I take care of them. Their lodging is covered. Make sure that I cover transportation. I give them a little spending money. I buy their meals so that they don't have to spend a tremendous extra amount just because they came out to support me. But yeah, so challenges there for sure. And then time commitment. My goodness. As I said, we just started cross country. The kids just started. My kids start school next week, so I'll be there for the first day of school, but then I have to leave. So, it's tough. This is a tough time of year. I didn't expect my kids to be going back to school this early. That's part of the problem. The school pushed up the start of school 2 weeks. So that was unexpected. I expected only to be, missing a small piece of this. And that would have been, basically, part of the Italy trip. And then, obviously the Wasatch trip, but it's the time commitment. I've got the coaching. I have to do, coaching my athletes, obviously recording the podcast. So I'll be recording the next podcast actually tomorrow. I've had a request for Peter Defty from Vespa. A lot of people want to learn more about Vespa. Peter did a great interview with Jason Koop. So if you want to listen to that and get a precursor to our conversation, I'm going to try to get him to expound on what's going on and what's the idea behind Vespa, and why did it work so well for me at Badger. So we're going to talk about those things. Coop was really trying to get to the root as to, is this something that's, that merits, taking and stuff. And I already have the merits. I have the evidence that it worked for me. So I'm not as concerned. I want him to explain it so you understand it more because I can't explain it. So that's my point behind the podcast. I'm more of a testament. It did work for me, and I will continue to use it. So it's a great product. It's expensive. I'm not going to say it's not expensive. I think a 12-pack runs like $99. Perhaps Peter can extend us a discount if if he's able to. So I'll ask him about that. But yeah. So the next podcast will be with Peter Defty of Vespa. But yeah, again, all of these little things, they add up, so many little time commitments. And I've got to take care of things around the house here. My kids are still on summer break, so I'm trying to make sure that their needs are met. My wife's been working late, so, I've got to cook dinner, make sure things are done around the house here. I've been away so much that I can't let things around the house slip either. That's my job and my responsibility. So, lots of time commitments. So it's difficult, in the Grand Slam because of how much you're away. So just trying to make time management has just been such a key component. I carry a little notebook with me now and a pen and just write things down just so I don't forget because I want to make sure that I'm completing the tasks that I need to complete and having things done ahead of time, having the foresight to make sure that they're all set, through my travels. So a lot going on. So time commitment has been very, very challenging right now. And then the other things that have been challenging is the gear and supplies that I need. It is different for every race. Leadville and Wasatch are very different races from Western States and Badger. So like the things that I need gear wise, nutritionally, everything, there's so many different things that I have to prepare and purchase just to have what I need, and hopefully will make me as successful as possible at each race. For Badger, I didn't really have a shoe that I was like, this is going to be a great shoe for Badger. So I had to go out and purchase another pair of the Topo Cyclone 2s. Really enjoyed that shoe. I used it for about half the race and then switched into my Olympus. I was just getting a hot spot on my pinky toe. So I switched back out to the Olympus, which, I'll probably just stick to the Olympus for Leadville. Really wish I could find a slightly lighter shoe that had the cushioning of the Olympus. I tried the Mont Blanc, but that shoe just doesn't seem to be exactly what I'm looking for. So still on the hunt. May try the Topo Pursuit. We'll see. But that's it's getting a little bit short right now to be trying the new Pursuit. Really love the Mountain Racer 3. That has potential as well. So maybe I'll do a combination of the Mountain Racer 3 and the Olympus. But just constantly trying new things to make sure that I'm comfortable. It's legs, like I said, they're not drained. Body is a little bit tired, I can tell, but the recovery is going well. But like I said, gear and supplies have been a constant challenge to make sure that I have what I need and not overspend on the gear itself. So trying to be careful there. And then adding back training, last week was great because it was recovery week. I could focus on work and get stuff done and just go out for some walks with my dog. But this week when I tried to add back training, there's a lot more. We've been adding back incline training on the treadmill. So, doing a run and then getting on the treadmill and then doing core work. It adds up, that's another like 2 to 3 hours of work between the run, the treadmill, and the core work. So that's a lot. I talked about time commitments. That's a lot of time out of your day, So it's, again, trying to find time management and being sure. And that was, again, another reason why I just took the Audible today. I just had so much going on, so much that, I didn't want things to stress me out. I knew I had to get this done, and I talked about everything that I had to do. So being able to just step away for a day and be like, today is not the day to try to push through, and I hopefully, like I said, end result is I'll feel much better because of it. So, all of this said, it's Leadville next week. I'm super excited for it. I've been going through the participant guide. Leadville, for those that don't know, starts at 10,000 feet. We do go below 10,000 feet, but we also go up to and just over 12,000 feet when we cross over Hope Pass, and it's an out and back. So we go over Hope Pass twice. It's got pretty tough cutoffs for a lot of people. It is a tough race. Not a ton of vertical gain, honestly. One would expect a race in the Colorado mountains to have a little bit more vertical gain, which obviously is a bonus since cutoffs are strict and tough. But it's a pretty runnable race, but altitude is the X factor. So, how will the body react to altitude? That's the big question. And how well will my body be recovered? So there's a lot of questions, and mentally it's challenging. I don't want to, be nervous, or too anxious, by the race. I want to remain calm and focused and just have a plan, a plan of attack to just, let the day unfold, let myself, kind of just, I don't want to go out too hard, obviously. My job is to finish, so go out conservative and just stay within myself for the entire day, and bring myself home and get that finish. That's the big piece of this. Finish Leadville so I can move on to Wasatch. Wasatch is probably the most challenging of all the 4 races, so I really need to focus, between the two. What's nice at Leadville is that I can use poles. It's the first time that I can really use or warrant the use of poles. So I'll be using my poles again. That we can have our pacer's mule. So in other words, we can hand them stuff to carry. So, if I want them to carry my pack, they can. Take some weight off of me for those, final miles. So, so it's some things I need to talk to my pacers about. Again, I've already began that communication with them to make sure they understand what I'm expecting of them, how much distance is expected of each of them. And they're all like-minded. They know what my goal is to finish. They know where I'm at, how tired I am. I've been communicating those things. I don't want any false pretenses that I'm trying to compete for, a finish position or a time. Really my goal is to get across that finish line in under 30 hours. That's what I want to do, and just got to make sure I keep moving forward, be smart about it, don't overexert myself. And the big thing, like I said, this week is just making sure I don't overdo it, making sure that I get to be as fully recovered as I can. So, so far as nutrition goes, we're going to stick to the plan of doing water and S caps for electrolytes. I'm going to stick to the Vespa Ultra Concentrate about every 2 hours. And then I'm going to use chews. I found that chews and gummies seem to work really well for me because I can just kind of munch on some and then put the package away. Whereas like a gel, it's like, I don't know how much I'm really getting, I'm squirting a bunch in my mouth. It's kind of at, strange intervals, whereas, I can be a little bit more controlled with my chews. So I think we're going to use chews this go around, and I have a bunch of different options for chews and for gummies. The gummy Coke bottles by Harborough, they worked really well at Badger. I really enjoyed them, just putting them in a Ziploc bag and just kind of munching on them between sections. And then my daughter would just hand me a new bag of the gummy Coke bottles. They were fantastic. And when I got tired, I used the power bar. I think they call them the chews, whatever they had a caffeine. The Coca-Cola one has caffeine. So I was using that at night, which was tremendous. It helped a lot. I've got the scratch chews, which I really love the raspberry. That's kind of one of my favorite go-tos is the raspberry. I also have some caffeinated scratch chews. The sour cherry is a great flavor with caffeine. So I have some caffeine options and some non-caffeinated options. So I'm pretty excited. I'm also going to do some real food. Big real food fan. It sounds like the aid stations are going to have it, but we're also going to just have, a camp stove and be able to cook some stuff up. So, we're planning in that. So, and then gear wise, I have 2 packs by Usway. I have their 8-liter pack, which is kind of my go-to pack for most of the day. And then my plan is at the nighttime, I may switch over to the 15-liter just in case I need my puffy, in case it gets cold when I'm hiking. I'll probably have a drop bag at Winfield. I think Winfield is the turnaround. And have my puffy in there, some gloves just in case my hands need it with the poles, an extra kind of hat just in case I need it for temperatures. Right now, looking at the temperatures, highs are in the mid 70s, lows are in the mid to lower 40s. So a lot of variety and especially as you go up in altitude, it could be even colder at Hope's Pass. So just want to be prepared. So packing a lot of extra gear. I've got some extra base layers and stuff like that. Just want to be prepared for this race. Obviously have what I need and have the capacity to carry it. So that's why I'll have the 2 different packs. Working on all that. And my poles, obviously. So I got a lot of stuff to pack this go around, a lot of different gear. So my bags are definitely going to be a lot fuller. For Badger, it was almost like my bags were half empty and we were driving. So this time we're flying. So, I've got to be a little bit more mindful of how heavy my bags are. And so, I've begun kind of putting things together. Making sure that I have what I need. I don't want to be minimalistic. I talked in previous episodes about packing for these things and making sure that you're not too minimalistic, that you have what you need. It's better to kind of overpack than get to the Colorado and be like, oh no, I don't have this, and have to buy it or just go without it. So I'm trying to make sure I've got all my bases covered, and I feel good about what I'm bringing So, the packing has already begun. So yeah, Leadville coming up quick. Super excited about it. Thomas Brown, who's been doing the Grand Slam, this is his off race. He does not have to race Leadville. He already did Old Dominion, Western States, and Badger, so he's got 3 down. So his last race is at Wasatch. So Thomas will not be racing. That's why he's not on the podcast with me talking about Leadville. So I'm glad for Thomas. He gets a little break before Wasatch. So, but yeah, that's my story. That's everything that's going on. If you have questions about your training, about your running, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to answer questions. All of my contact information is in the show notes. If you want to learn more about my coaching, you can go to my webpage, runningislife.run. Check that out. You can check my my coaching philosophy and everything that I do on the website. You can also hear previous podcast episodes. So you can check out previous podcast episodes on the website. As soon as the Grand Slam is over, I hope to kind of get back to my monthly newsletter. So if you want to subscribe to the newsletter, you can do so there on the website as well. If you want to follow along in my training and my racing, I am on Strava. All that's in the show notes. So please reach out to me with anything you got, especially if you want a special guest, hear from somebody, or you yourself want to join me on the podcast. Just reach out. Happy to hear from you. I thank you all for listening. I thank you, my Patreon supporters, for keeping up your support. I really do appreciate that. It helps me keep this going. And again, I hope you take away some stuff from this, learn some things. Don't hesitate to ask questions too. Happy to answer questions on the podcast. Okay, so until next time, we'll have our conversation with Peter Defty of Vespa. But I hope you're enjoying your training. I hope you're enjoying your summer. And keep running, my friends.